Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. So we didn't brought in Bryan Fulford, sports rap that you all see generally on Sundays. He's also of O&G Strike Zone as they give you the updates of what takes place. And then they do a little review. They've added on Monday, which was on fire yesterday. None other than my teammate Charles Bishop, moving around and getting it done. It looks like AD Drew snuck in here and made it back. So we'll be able to get you a full course meal as you get prepared for your Thanksgiving. Hopefully you don't eat too much turkey. Certainly celebrate those that you give thanks and family, but also give thought for those, particularly at this time, that's had a rough year that may not be as fortunate as you. And if you're one of those that are not as fortunate, we certainly have prayers going out to you that hopefully things get back better. Obviously, we know some teams in terms of the HBCU sports fandom certainly have some things to be thankful for. Some others are not as thankful and certainly are prepared to go in a different direction. But that's a whole different show. We're here to give you some updates. We do our mid-major segment, if you would, today. So welcome to episode 746 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs, the business of HBCU sports. Charles, in short, we just call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy. I'm your host, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios. At least some of these guys are. I'm actually on the road in the hotel. With that being said, we're sending a signal out of KSUH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, that's multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University of Houston, Texas. Before we get in and the last day and send everybody home for a couple of days to enjoy, as I said, a break in the calendar. With that being said, Charles, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Doc. I'm doing well. Looking forward to Thanksgiving. Gonna obviously get a little turkey in there, but gonna do a little Jamaican food in there somewhere. So gonna try to start something new this Thanksgiving, but looking forward to it, and probably more than anything coming down off the high from this past weekend.
Yeah. Getting back to it and still feeling good, still feeling thankful, I'm sure, in a lot of ways.
Very much so.
You got that being said, let me go to you, Bryan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I have officially recovered from the Florida Classic, so I'm good. I'm over the 48-hour hangover from that event, and after talking about it for 3 hours last night, I'm done. It's in the bag.
I love it. Y'all went in. You were one of the most sober people on there, and everybody else was like, "Nah, I'm not holding back." Like the Rattlers were striking yesterday. With that being said, AD Drew, how are you?
I'm doing fine, fellas. Just thankful to be here. Thankful for having opportunities to talk to people and to be in such high demand, because I am on the road right now.
Yes, that's why we asked Bryan to cut in, because usually AD gives us some insights and produces but we brought in Brian that is talented on all sides. So we got essentially the sports wrap moved to Tuesday, joining in with the HBCU Sports Lab exit Mike Washington that is on assignment and being called in all directions for emergencies. Let me go ahead and open it up before I ask you all to share this. I'm here on behalf of the Center for Africana Futures in partnership with Alabama State University for the HBCU Sports Ecosystem Series, Beyond the Game. If you don't recall, we had one last spring there in Texas Southern. The demand was high as we brought in the ADs, VPs of athletics from Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Jackson State, and we had Prairie View come down the road, and obviously we have Texas Southern University involved with that. That was on Friday, the day before. We brought in two commissioners of HBC programs. We brought in Dr. Charles McCullen of the SWAC, as well as Dr. Holloman of the SIAC. And it went really well. They thought it would be a good idea to look at taking this on the road. So I took them up on it. We started in September and went to Jackson State, the Jackson State University, where I got a chance, as Charles is doing around, sending folks to Johnny T's, Burgers, and other places in terms of getting it done. I got my fill in, and shout out to Ashley as he showed off. Then it was time to go in a little bit of MEAC territory, and October went up to Norfolk State, got a chance to check out the Spartans along with Coach Vic, as Dr. Kerry Banks took care of me, got to be on the beach out there. That was pretty nice that time of the year. So while Ashley had me at poolside, it was pretty big time. And then in November, we're here at Alabama State University with Dr. Jason Cavil taking care of business. He will be one of the featured individuals along with his deputy director of athletics, that is Cyrus Russ. Gentleman is on top of his game. He is in line to be an athletic director, director of athletics, vice president of athletics, really soon, putting in a lot of the good work that you see done at Alabama State University, as well as Dr. Janice A. Laval is there, the senior associate women's director, athletic director, SWA, as you have heard it called many times. She's getting it done as that senior associate director there at Alabama State. We'll be doing that tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We are working to make sure we can get it live. If not, we'll have it taped to get it back out to you so you can hear a little bit about that discussion of what takes place there. But with that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics, as you see with the Center of Africana Futures, partnering with Alabama State University tomorrow. Stay over. I brought Deuce. He's on the road. He's recovering, riding with me, my road trip warrior, getting it done, as he already has seen some nice gifts that Alabama State Athletics has provided us. He's excited about that always. But tomorrow, we'll put in a little work. And then Thursday, he gets to do the Turkey Day Classic. So we get to check that box and see what that looks like to be live when we eat some of our turkey on the road. We'll come out Friday, and then we'll head back to New Orleans, where we flew in, stayed that night, see the Battle of the Bands, Albany State, as well as Southern University. And then we'll check out the Bayou Classic, and then head on back home. So we'll have a little road trip for our Turkey Day. With that being said,
it's good to be Deuce. It's good to be Deuce. Boy, I tell you that.
Yeah, he living a life, I tell you.
I know. I didn't get my first Bayou in until I was 16, 17.
Hey, I still haven't had my first Bayou, Charles. So I mean, what are you talking about?
I had to wait to college. Charles, what's on your mind for this HBCU week?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Let's start off with some volleyball championships. I'll give Brian the honors for the SWAC, but we'll start with the MEAC as Coppin State wins the 2025 MEAC volleyball championship as they return to the top of the MEAC conference on Saturday night, defeating the number 2 seed Howard 3-1 to secure the program's second MEAC volleyball championship in 3 seasons. With the victory, the Eagles improved to 23-11. and clinched the league's automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. So kudos to Coppin State. And here's a name to keep in mind. Sharice Atalano added 10 kills and 9 digs, and Ayana Farrow finished with 9 kills and 3 blocks. Caden Cupid was an all-tournament team honoree, added 7 kills and 4 blocks, while Ivana Luna also chipped in 7 kills, as well as Azul Pilag, who surpassed 1,000 career assists during the match as she registered 27 assists, 4 digs, and 2 aces. So kudos to Coppin State for winning the MEAC Volleyball Championship.
Congratulations, ladies of Coppin State University, winning the MEAC Volleyball Championship Tournament for 2025. With that being said, as Charles was nice and we'll share the love, let's go to Brian and see what he has to get off his chest in terms of news of the week.
Well, I'm so glad. I think some of the names I have to read are a little bit easier. I appreciate you, Charles, taking that one for the team. I appreciate you. But hey, I gotta say with all my heart, man, it feels good on a Sunday to see Florida A&M claim back-to-back volleyball tournament titles as the Rattlers defeated the Southern Lady Jaguars 3-1 at the Al Lawson Center. Of course, the Rattlers were hosting this year, and this just happens to be the 4th league title, the conference title, in 5 years. Of course, FAMU has been in the championship game all 5 years that they've been a part of the SWAC. This is their 4th championship. The Rattlers were led by double performances from Sydney Whitfield, who had 13 kills and 12 digs on the day. Farah Farouk had 14 kills on the offense, and on the defensive end, Victoria Santana chipped in for 24 digs to go with 7 blocks from Farouk. Again, the Rattlers, the all-tournament or most valuable player was Mackenzie Taylor, the setter. She had an outstanding day, outstanding tournament, and just an outstanding performance for the Rattlers, who were the 8th seed this year. You know, one of the interesting things about this tournament going in, you had 4 teams that were seeded, or 4 teams that went in to the tournament with 9-7 regular season records. And they all had to, based on the tiebreaker of head-to-head, is how the seeding went down. And it just so happened that Florida A&M against Alabama A&M, Southern, and who was the other one? Texas Southern.
Oh
no! I was talking about the 4. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the 4 teams that were tied. So among the 4 teams that were tied, Florida A&M finished 1-3. So as the 8th seed, they ended up matched up against number 1 seed, regular season champs Prairie View, who finished 15-1. Great regular season. I think they had the coach of the year, player of the year, stuff like that. But Florida A&M was just finding themselves. They were a team that had struggled to find, a new lineup. They lost 10 players off the last year's championship team. So it was an opportunity that they found themselves down the stretch. And for the last 2 weeks going into the tournament, they were preparing for Prairie View. And it just so worked out for them, where they ended up with Prairie View. They defeated them 3-1 in an outstanding, exciting game. Then in the second semifinal game against Alabama A&M, another one of those 9-7 teams in the tiebreaker that actually had beaten FAMU twice during the regular season. The Lady Rattlers beat them 2-0. And then Southern, another team that they lost out to in the tie-breaking scenario, they beat them. So what an outstanding job by Coach Gokhan Yilmaz and the coaching staff and all the players. So I'm very proud to be a Rattler on Sunday and all the time, but especially when I see what Coach Gokhan has built a dynasty with this team.
Yeah, that's pretty good. In all seriousness, coming off of tough football loss, to come back and not even have to wait a day before you get to crown a champion. As you said, 5 straight years in the championship game, 4 to 5 years, big time. When they left next year, they would have been in line to host the tournament, and they finally got to host it in the SWAC. So I thought that was pretty true. And they end the year in terms of softball knocking off Prairie View after winning a regular season. In that case, it was the division. They opened up the season, knocking off Prairie View in a tournament. So I think Prairie View folks may be a little tired, particularly on the women's side of the Rattlers in terms of what they're doing. We're going to have to get in our NIL bag and raise some hell to make sure we can snuff out some snakes to get this done in terms of finishing the deal after you're done in the regular season. But with that being said, let me go to AD Drew and see what is on his mind in terms of HBCU news.
Everybody hear me right now?
Yes.
We got you. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, we could.
All right, here we go.
Might be it.
All right, now my audio didn't kick in like it did too. Fellas, since I don't want to prolong football anymore because it's over for some people, so let's get into some SIAC honors.
That's pretty good.
How about the women's player of the week? Shamaya Mackin of Tuskegee University. She's a senior center from Columbus, Georgia. Mackin delivered one of the strongest all-around performances in the SIAC, averaging 17 points, 11.5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 block a game across 2 conference victories for Tuskegee. The newcomer of the week on the women's side, also from Tuskegee University, Ariana Durrell. She's a guard, a senior from Clinton, Mississippi. Put together an impressive week, averaging 15 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 3.5 steals while playing 34 minutes per game. And we're not going to forget about the men's side, everybody. Josiah Lawson of Morehouse College, sophomore forward from Stone Mountain, Georgia, was the player of the week on the men's side. The sophomore forward came off the bench in both contests, helping the Maroon Tigers to a 2-0 SIAC road swing, averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, while shooting 68% from the field, 63% from behind the arc in wins versus Albany State and Spring Hill. And the most impressive stat of it all, he committed absolutely 0 turnovers during the week. And the SIAC male newcomer of the week, Keyshawn Evans of Edward Waters University. He's a forward from Atlanta, Georgia. Evans continued his strong play in EWU's road victories over Lane and Lemoyne on, averaging 19.5 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2 steals on 8-15 shooting from behind the arc, and 21 of 30 from the foul line.
Congratulations to the SIAC, and appreciate you, AD Drew, of pushing us back into the mid-major discussion. I'm going to skip back out of that and not bury the lead as we did a little bit on Sunday, even though we were doing the major division. We talked about the fact that Albany State, as Mike would always like to remind us, and congratulations to his father-in-law as Albany State Golden Rams get it done in the playoffs. Which means they get to continue hosting as they're the number 1 seed. And guess what? Guess who they play this week? Benedict Tigers. Those Benedict Tigers that you've seen all over social media, all over the over-the-air news, broadcast news in terms of their end of the game. Big touchdown that got them the victory after being down 24 to nothing, even 24-7 in the fourth. They win 25-24 in that matchup. They'll play in the next round of the playoffs this weekend. So we'll see we have at least one mid-major HBCU program, particularly representing the SIAC, moving on to the Final 8. With that being said, also we have the final for the 2025 SWAC Football Championship. Prairie A&M set to face Jackson State. Jackson State has earned the right to host the 2025 Pepsi SWAC Football Championship, presented by General Motors after defeating Alcorn State Braves on Saturday. JSU clinched the 2nd consecutive Southwestern Athletic Conference Eastern Division title win for the last 5 years. Prairie View clinched this title, game birth with a win over Arkansas Pine Bluff on November 15th, the week before. will mark the Panthers' third appearance in the SWAC football championship in the past 5 years. Prairie A&M last conference title was in 2009. Jackson State will look to repeat as conference champions to claim its fourth title in the last 5 seasons with the win. Prairie View will travel to face Jackson State on Saturday. That's December 6th at Veterans Memorial Stadium. The game is set to broadcast live on ESPN2 at 1 o'clock CST. We will have SWAC TV game time that morning live on campus, so check that out to get you prepped for it. Got approved by Dr. Charles McCullen, the commissioner. Charles, Bryan, AD, will have a 2-hour show instead of our general 1-hour show, so excited about that. Congrats to Roy being able to make sure we got done, so I look forward to see what that looks like, and we may have some surprise visitors as well. I know we're looking forward to one big-time interview. We'll kind of save that and tease that a little bit, but wanted to give that note. There was some talk about, quote-unquote, the best 2 teams should be playing in there. There was some people talking about division. And so shout out. Avis is one of those getting credit for that. A lot of you all that go back to the SWAC Page Network and know Avis is a big-time Jackson State fan, a good friend of mine, loves to really rib people, and folks that don't know him, stir up the pot, whatever you want to call it. For those that don't know it, it really probably rubs them crazy. But really a good guy, good dude, will give you the shirt off his back. He is true to the game in terms of that. But I had to tease him a little bit. It gave me a time to think about it. And I keep trying to tell everybody that the solve that is different in terms of getting rid of divisions, particularly if you are not playing every team, like you think about in the NFL. A lot of people like to say, well, the Power Fives have gotten rid of it, and they do. But they get a chance to have multiple teams after the championship game. Multiple teams get into bowl games that finish the season well. Obviously, at this level, at this point, which is another discussion we might have time for, if not today, certainly Thursday this week, since we get in the playoffs, have a couple of games, and then really we'll spend all of next week on the championship game. Is it time to see if the major division is ready to add a bowl game, another bowl game of some sort, or 2? We got some data to kind of look at that. But back to the framework of getting rid of divisions. The benefit of the G5 Power 5 is the fact, as I said, that they can have the top 2 teams based on records, and those that don't make it, while they can't get a regular season championship, they do have the ability to play for a playoff championship. And if they don't have that, they still have other bowls to bid for and get into. Not the case again for the major division at the HBCU level, other than the playoffs. And many teams are precluded because they have games of their regular season that are the same week as the playoffs. In addition to that, wanted to frame, if you look at this year, and people say this from the last couple of years, it's only 2 years that teams in one division ultimately had the better record, would have played each other. Most of the time, even in this 5-year cycle, the teams out of each division would have played. If you would have went with that this year, though, it was funny to me that you had 3 teams that finished 7-1. And because all teams didn't play each other, there wasn't a way to get a head-to-head tiebreaker. And this is the kind of chaos that AD Drew loves to do. So I took a little bit of notes from what he does and went back and looked at, since there's no divisions, obviously, then the next thing is common opponents. Well, there's only 2 common opponents, if you would, between those 3 teams. They happen to be Alabama A&M and Mississippi Valley State. And as you imagine, they defeated all those teams. So there's no tiebreaker there that allow you to select who would play in it. So you go to the next one, you get down there to the way where you get point differential. Well, guess what happens when you look at point differential between those common opponents? It was set up that, unfortunately, for those Jackson State fans, those that are thinking that they would like to play Alabama State, be careful what you wish for. Even those fans that think that the best 2 teams are Alabama State and Jackson State. And I think there's some argument you can see that in some ways. But if you do the tiebreaker in terms of point differential and you break it all the way down, the Tigers of Jackson State University actually would be on the outside looking in, and they wouldn't have a chance to defend their crown. You would have Prairie View traveling to Alabama State in terms of the final tiebreaker. So I don't know if the division lineup, exactly, would give a lot of people what they want or what they think it will do. It's still going to end up coming down to tiebreakers in many ways. A last one I'm going to put out there, Brian, I'm going to give you a chance to go deeper in this whenever you all do it, if it's Sunday or whatever. It comes down to plays, but Jackson State and Alabama State, all those Alabama State folks that are trying to figure out a way or whatever, it was one play. One play. Credit to Jackson State getting it done. But on the other side, just how ironic it is Labor Day Classic. Charles, you were there. Live on the sideline, watching it, right? Remember, that came down to the last play. In fact, Prairie View scored, penalized. Some people questioned. I thought it was a pretty good call. Tough one because they got in the end zone. Because they got in the end zone, they had basically 1 second on the clock, and they were able to get it. Charles had the video of the game. We played it on the show. He set up in his mind, he saw this might be the opportunity. He saw it early in the game. After calling games, he knows how to look at certain things. Found out after the game that the quarterback says he wants to run this play. The coach trusts him, let it run it. We know the history. Prairie View got in the end zone and wins that game. But I'm not sure that people have thought about this. Credit to Ryan McGinty that pointed this out to me. While you look at the fact that it was a 2-game difference between Texas Southern University and Prairie View. If Texas Southern wins that game, that means they go to 6-2, which means Prairie View loses that game instead of being 7-1. They're 6-2. The head-to-head tiebreaker would have came into play. Texas Southern wins that game. They're not only just celebrating a winning season, they're at 7-4. They're in the championship game, and you actually have Texas Southern traveling to Jackson State this week for a championship. So every game counts. Every play counts, as coaches tell players. Finishing plays means everything, and the SWAC is that deep right now and that important in terms of the lineup. So for me, when you think about things like that, the divisional lineup gives you the opportunity to market and brand the next level, and why I think it is truly phenomenal that the SWAC continues to look at the 2 divisional lineup. We'll get a chance on Thursday for you all to take time and mix that up, come back, and we'll get you some deeper time to think about it. That was a little tease. I know we went a little longer with that, but we'll take our first break, give you a chance to think about that, and that's some meat on the bone for the coaches out there as they tell their players in the offseason, don't cheat your workouts because it may cost you a championship opportunity in very different ways. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Yes, Charles, I know you, the official representative, at least for Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, it seems, to inviting people to Jackson State, particularly for the last 5 years. And you've done it really well, particularly representing those in the Houston area that want to participate in that with being there 3 out of 5 years. And you've done a really good job. And people appreciate you, particularly with the Alpha group text that we have. You know, a lot of folks in there appreciate that. Shout out to Alabama A&M Bulldogs we have in there. Houston Tillerson that doesn't have a football program. The Bulldogs, although they have a football program and reestablish, it seems, with coach, they haven't been in the mood of playing for championships in football of late. So, you know, shout out to Twin, you know, giving them a little hard time in terms of what they're doing. But I know you wanted to talk about Officer Mario and what he does to make sure he facilitates, but particularly seems for those folks out of Texas coming in Jackson regularly. Maybe one time we'll find a way to get it done on the field. But even with that, I know you wanted to make sure somebody was recognized. Celebrating the show and showing that hospitality to make sure we get it right over.
No doubt. He's a frequent watcher of the program. I saw him in the chat. I got to give a shout out to Deputy Mario. There's no getting into Johnny T without Deputy Mario. So shout out to you, man. I'm glad to see you checking in tonight. So, but he's a frequent watcher of the show. Enjoys watching us week in, week out. So definitely want to send a shout out to my guy over there.
Yeah, let him know we'll do our annual chat in our visit. We'll get a chance to chop it up before we enter the establishment and have a little more relaxing time. We got to make sure that he's updated, give him his updates and thoughts of how we configure and figure things out. So appreciate the acknowledgement there. Appreciate Deputy Mario for supporting us in all seriousness.
For sure.
Guys, we're going to do a little spin. I seen on your face that you wanted to maybe have a comment there. So I'm going to allow you to do that. I'm going to go to you first, Brian, make Charles wait and stir it up a little bit and just see his thoughts in terms of all that I put on the table there. It's quite a bit. But, Brian, what are your thoughts? I know you said you'll take a deeper dive later in the week on that, but your initial thoughts coming out of the break of what I dropped there.
Man, I tell you, that's a load of stuff there, Doc, because, you know, that's the kind of news you drop like later on in the year afterwards, you know, because I'm like, I'm curious to see, you know, if that scenario had really happened, would the interwebs have blown up?
Couldn't handle it. It'd blow up.
They would have blown up. You imagine the folks from Jackson missing out because of a tiebreaker scenario? Oh, look, they would have. They'd have wanted a constitutional amendment right there on the spot to change the bylaws of the SWAC.
Y'all gonna get off my fan base. Y'all gonna get off my fan base.
He said constitutional amendment. I agree though. They would have called all states, 50 states in. We would have voted D. It's like, no, we're gonna talk about this now.
Yeah, they would have claimed the commissioner was shaving points and favoring his alumni. It'd have been scandal. Somehow it would have been a scandal. But no, in all seriousness, though, it does bring up interesting thought about the whole going division versus non-division scenario. You know, I think it makes you wonder, like we were talking about this offline, like what if the SWAC went to a 9-game schedule? You know,
that would help.
Would it help? You know, who knows? You might still have these crazy scenarios at the end of the season. So in some respect, I do get the whole East and West Division thing. And you know, right now it seems to work, but I do think in a 12-game season, which I think we're going to a model where college football games will have 12 games.
FCS.
I would say bring more SWAC games. You know, give yourself another opportunity to play within the conference, because so many schools already like to play that what do we call it, that conference non-conference game. Yeah. I think half the conference already plays one of those as well. So I think just to continue to strengthen the brand and bring the excitement, continue to bring excitement in the South about SWAC would be a bit. I would love to see it. I would love to see a 9-game schedule. And sure, if you're gonna go 9 games, do away with divisions and let's just kind of have some fun at the end of the year.
Yeah, if you go to 9 games, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with the division. I still think, even though if you go away with division standards, you're still going to have divisions because they use it for reducing the travel load. So it would just be unofficial, and their lineup would be your divisions. I think 9 games helps from the standpoint that you do have more contests, which allows for you to have more opportunity for it to naturally break off in terms of who's at the top, who's in the middle, and who's at the bottom. But there's no perfect system. If you're not going to play all 10, 12, 11 games, you're still going to have the scenario where it's not going to work. Yeah. Just in case, as I said, broke it down this year. Yeah. Even if you added a game, you know, who's to say that you won't have a 3-way tie? That wouldn't allow you to fix it in that. And who's to say you bring in the 9th game, you play that game, you might have a 4-way tie. Yeah. So it is what it is in terms of that. Again, unless you have everybody play everybody, which I know folks would have a problem with that. You're going to have some folks, because that means you don't have as many non-conference contests. So it is what it is. Let me let Charles get in here so he can say his piece and maybe save some of those folks that are asking him to speak up.
Well, I guess I take a look at it from a standpoint, and I think you said it just then. Just nothing is foolproof. I mean, even when the thought that goes into the scheduling model. I mean, especially the 10-year scheduling model, and we see it not just in the SWAC, but you see the chaos happening in the Big 12 right now. I mean, as much thought has been put into it. Nothing is foolproof, but when you started talking about the breadth of the season, that's where it's like, wow, imagine how things could have been. Literally, Prairie View and Texas Southern comes down to that very last play of the game.
Of the first game. Just me sitting back, taking a look at, I think I told you back in September that Prairie View reminded me of last year's Jackson State team. Now, I did not know that, the season would play out the way it did, but I said then the way they closed out games, that was just different
from what I had seen over the past couple of seasons with Prairie View. So they just stood out to me very early. The resiliency of Jackson State even getting to the SWAC championship game. I mean, keep in mind, Jacoby Morgan went down back in that Grambling game. There was no assurity, I think, that Jackson State was going to continue to go undefeated down the stretch with a freshman quarterback. So, just the twists and turns and the drama of the season just really kind of washed over me when we were sitting there talking about it.
Drew, see you able to get back in here. Hopefully you got a little clips of what we're talking about. Did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to put on the table in the next couple of minutes before we take our next break?
He might be.
I think Drew is still having some connections as he's moving around. So let's take our next break. We'll come back. We'll give you the scores, if you would, from the Division II playoff games and give you an update in terms of the top 7. There are some changes in the top 7 in terms of what that looks like as we get to close down. And it looks like after this weekend, we'll probably be able to name our official mid-major division champion. In a lot of ways, it may come down to what goes on in this second game of the playoffs. With that being said, we'll see if that is the case. We'll be right back after this next break and give you that update on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and Bryan Fulford. Let's get into the mid-major, love, and really give a breakdown of what's taking place. Let's get into the reports as we go a deep dive in the playoffs. We have 5 HBCUs in the playoffs, and they all played this past Saturday. By now, you understood that 2 of them were able to get out of those matchups, out of those 5 matchups. So let's officially get into scores of our top 7 programs, which included those 5 teams. With that being said, let's look at that first matchup that we have out there, which was Albany State. The Golden Rams improved to 11-1, 8-0 overall. They defeated the Valdosta State Blazers out of the Gulf South Conference. The Blazers fall to 7-4. They were 3-0 coming out of their conference. Golden Rams got it done, 35-30 in that matchup. Let's go to the number 2 ranked team at that time in the poll rank was Johnson C. Smith. Johnson C. Smith had a tough matchup as they lose to Frostburg State Bobcats in terms of what took place in that matchup as they fall to those Bobcats. The Golden Bulls fall to 10-3 overall, 6-1 in terms of what they did in the conference race to get there. And the Bobcats of Frostburg improved to 10-2, 7-1, and move on to the next round as they defeat the Golden Bulls 21-7. Look at number 3 in terms of what took place there. That's the Virginia Union Panthers. They were facing those Vulcans of California. That's California, Pennsylvania up there in terms of their matchup. They lost a close one, but the Vulcans improved to 9-3 overall. 3-3 is what they were in the conference race. They defeat Virginia Union, that falls to 9-3, 7-0, 27-24. The Panthers could not find a way to get it done to use consecutive years where they win in the playoffs. But great season for the Panthers. Regular season didn't quite close it out with the champion as the Golden Bulls did it in the CIAA, but still another notch on their belt for continuing to get in the playoffs and represent well as they do that. Let's look at number 4 in terms of the rankings last week. That's the Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. Newberry, the Wolves over there, got it done, defeating them 45-24. When you think about that, so Newberry improves to 10-1 on the season. They were 8-1 in their conference race over there. But Kentucky State, the Thoroughbreds, dropped to 9-3, 7-1. But they really had a great season, which included a lot of firsts. They got to that 9-win record mark, but more importantly, they got into the playoffs for the first time, representing the SIC, which ended up getting 3 teams in, which was another first, along with the total of 5 HBCU programs. But they fall 45-24 in terms of the playoff match. Looking at number 5, this is our final team that was in the playoffs, and it was Benedict. They played for SIC championship, didn't get it done against Albany State, but they get it done in the playoffs. Everybody knows by now the terrific last-second play where they win. They improved to 10 wins, 10-2, 7-1. Great season. While this is not necessarily their best record they had in the regular season after going undefeated, but this is the first time where they win a playoff game. They got in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, second time under a different coach, so a lot of things are going right. Benedict Tigers, very proud. They're still in the playoffs. They defeat Wingate, the Bulldogs, that fall to 9-3, 7-2, 25-24, which sets up a trilogy, if you would, between Albany State Golden Rams and the Benedict Tigers. Golden Rams have gotten it done twice. Can they do 3 times in a row? We shall see in terms of what it looks like. Those are the scores from the matchup. Let me go to you all before we give the rankings. Charles, anything stood out to you that you've had a chance to kind of think about since you marinated on what took place at the mid-major level in the playoffs this past weekend?
I was a disappointing finish, I think, for Johnson. I thought they had a run in them. So I was wanting to see could they get past their first round game, as well as Kentucky State as well. But I take my hat off, especially to both of those programs. And they fought for a while, to get back into relevancy. And this was a year that both teams had broken through. And then we had that game, Kentucky State and Grambling, where Kentucky State controlled that game. It went into overtime. Unfortunately, that call went against them. You talk about, one play here, one play there. But, you never know where Grambling season goes if that's a loss to Kentucky State. But just wanted more from both of those teams. Hopefully, trying to get out of that first round matchup. But overall, I thought both leagues, CIAA and the SIAC, it's been a tremendous season. Really good football being played in both leagues.
Great comments, Brian. Your thoughts in terms of what 5 of the top 7 teams did in the playoffs? Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, something that Drew had brought up on Sunday that I didn't really think about was that this being the first year that the CIAA moved into Region 1, and none of those schools played Region 1 non-conference opponents. So, who knows if the unfamiliarity with teams from out of those conferences, the style of play, who knows if it mattered, but it's an interesting nugget to take into consideration given the fact that Virginia Union was, I think when we all looked at the 5 teams, and if you would have asked us, and maybe you guys did this, I think we did, who's most likely to advance to the next round, I think probably everybody would have said Virginia Union as one of 4, 5, or 2, 3 of 5. You know what I'm saying? I think Virginia Union was the team that everyone most expected to advance, but they didn't. And so that's probably the more surprising game. And I mean, of course, and then I guess when you look at the Benedict game, it's interesting to note that Benedict, a team that's now been in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years now, and yes, it's a new coach, but you got to wonder now the familiarity within the program. And I think I think Sly had said that only maybe like 15 guys were still on the roster from those playoff years. That matters. I mean, 15 guys is that. Yep. If those guys were young guys 2-3 years ago, or 3-4 years ago, that means they're probably the upperclassmen in the program. So in terms of letting everybody know, at that moment when you're down 24-0, somebody in that locker room has got to, or on the sideline is speaking realities and truth to let guys know that, hey, we can still win this game. There's still a possibility. It matters. So
I think it certainly matters. They set a culture, they set an expectation. So no doubt about it.
So I think that was significant. So good stuff. Let me see if Drew might be able to get in. I don't know. We're gonna try. Let's see if Drew's
let's move. We got to get through here now.
For sure.
So let's get into the poll rankings in 7, and then we'll let Drew get a chance to talk a little bit about that. But we want to stay within the clock pattern for everybody. So let's get into the top 7 rankings this week. We can move this pretty quickly. Nobody dropped out. No changes in terms of those on the outside looking in. Allen Yellow Jackets, Livingston Blue Bears, and Edward Water Tigers. But let's get in the top 7. Not a lot of changes at the bottom, but let's start with number 7, which is the Virginia State Trojans that are 6-4, 4-3. 145 points. They were not. They were ranked 7. They stay at the 7th spot. Then we go to number 6 with the Fayetteville State Broncos that finished the season 6-4, 6-1. 146 points, remaining at 6. Both of those programs out of the CIAA. Moving us to number 5. At number 5, we have Benedict Tigers, but it actually should be Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. They fall from the 4th spot after their loss in the playoff at 9-3, 7-1, 168 points. Let's get into number 4. I'm gonna give this because I think these updates are not been updated, but let me verbally give you 4, and you can then bring out the final poll ranking. It'll have it correct. Number 4 is Virginia Union Panthers at 9-3, 7-0, 172 points. They fall a spot as they previously ranked number 3. At the 3 spot, you have Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, that also fall after their playoff loss. The season ended 10-6, 6-1, 195 points. They're at the 2 spot. You have Benedict Tigers that climbed all the way back from number 5 in the 2 spot. The Benedict Tigers are 10-1, 7-1. 3 first-place votes, 299 points. And then number 1, as you imagine, the Albany State Golden Rams, 11-1, 8-0, 27 points. Number 1 ranking. They have the 5 first-place votes, as you see here with the final measure. So this playoff will give us the number 1 versus number 2 matchup. Both of these teams in the season have been ranked number 1. The other team there that got ranked number 1 was Johnson C. Smith and Virginia Union in terms of the season. But these 2 teams have extended runs at the number 1 rank. 5 weeks for Albany State Golden Rams. Benedict Tigers held the number 1 spot for 5 weeks as well. It'll be interesting when you go down the fact that you will have somebody clearly, at least among these 2 teams after this week, that will be able to claim a mid-major division football poll ranking and, more importantly, get a chance to move on in the playoffs. With that being said, let's go to AD Drew first, since he's been trying to make sure he can join the show, and we appreciate his diligence. But AD Drew, at this point, if you would, what are your thoughts in terms of the top rankings? And then if you want to go in and talk a little bit about the playoffs and what stood out to you, you can add that into your thoughts here as well.
Mic check. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We hear.
Okay. I'm trying to be brief because I don't know how long you'll be able to hear me. But we almost had the doomsday scenario last week when I was joking about what happened if all 5 teams lose. All 5 teams damn near lost last weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's good that we have essentially a Division II national championship game. The number 1 is the number 2 team, with them both being in the same region, out of the same conference. I think that is good. I wonder if Johnson C. Smith defeating Union in that CIAA championship game exposed Union, where their opponent in the region was able to take the Johnson C. field.
Good point.
And to beat them. Kentucky State, Johnson C. Yeah, great season, but not quite sure if everybody was ready for playoff football. You know, that's a whole other level. The game gets faster. Calls get fewer. Referees tend to let the game be won or lost on the field. You don't have those ticky-tack calls. You don't have conference officials who actually know you. There's always a neutral conference officiating the games. So, I wonder if that had a lot to do with it. So, I'm just excited to see this championship game. I will be in the house on Saturday for the Division II championship game on the HBCU level. So, I'll be ready to report bright and early on Sunday, Dr. Cavil.
Appreciate it. Representative for BCSN and Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. See, we got folks that are going to be in the house. They'll be in the building. They'll see it with their eyes, not just catching on television, not just catching highlights of final scores. They will see the action, and they'll bring it to you and tell you what they thought. With that being said, let me go to you, Brian. What are your thoughts in terms of the mid-major? Top 7. This is week 12. Coming to close things out. Where are you with how things falling out thus far?
So even after the SIAC championship between Albany State and Benedict, there were 3 people who still voted Benedict number 1. Or maybe they voted Benedict number 1 after the Wingate wish. I don't know. I'm very curious about that. I just hope we get a unanimous number 1 after this week, Doc. Because I'm very nervous about the 3 people who voted for Benedict. I am. I'm just very nervous. I don't mean to besmirch pollsters because I am one, and I know I take a lot of bullets sometimes. But I'm very amused. That's all. I'm very amused.
It'll get settled.
I know it will, Charles. But come on now. Even after the SIC champ, the game. You know what is the biggest complaint by everybody in the chat room? Oh, the game is played on the field. What about head-to-head, the matchup? They played so-and-so, and then so-and-so. The transitive formula that everybody seems to have, the property, right? Albany State beat Benedict not once, but twice. Yeah. But 3 people still found a way to rank them number 1. I'm amazed. That's all.
Great point.
Hey, man,
I think it's because of the sport. Because they saw them on Sports Center, Brian. That's what it was. They saw them on Sports Center too much.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of love from that. Charles, what are your thoughts?
I can't even call people out. Look, see, that's why I'm not calling anybody out, because then all of a sudden I take bullets for other people's foolishness, right? But okay, I take bullets for other people's foolishness. Thank you. Thank you, Christopher Dukes. Appreciate you.
I think the poll is correct. I mean, we're getting a 1 versus 2 matchup. You would think that things get settled. I'm curious, if Albany State has already beaten them twice, Benedict gets to win in this game. I mean, Albany State still has beaten them 2 out of 3 times, huh?
Hey, sometimes what lasts in your memory is what counts the most.
That's true. That's very true.
And it happens to be at the highest stakes with the
exactly.
playoffs. But you're right, it would leave a lot of argument. We see it in the NFL oftentimes where a team plays a third time in the playoffs. And I think you just separate the two. One counted for a regular season championship. One counted for a CIAA football championship. The other's going to count for a playoff victory and moving on to the next round. Then, however you part that together, we dubbed it now as the official HBCU de facto championship game. So somebody who wins that is going to win the championship.
That's true. That's true.
I think it gets as simple as that. But you're right. It'll be interesting. Voters, they get to do and vote the way they want. With that being said, let's take our last break, come back on the other side, talk about maybe that little bit of matchup, and tease a little bit of this final week and maybe even a point or two on the SWAC championship game. We'll be right back after this last break.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let me give a shout out to One Chapter One Shield, all those on the executive board there, with the president being Brother Deshaun Baker, the brainchild in a lot of ways through One Chapter One Shield. Shout out, Polo. I was trying to decide I was going to travel with, I've been elected to the Hall of Fame there, Charles. One Chapter One Shield. So those Hall of Famers get a gold shirt. So I was going back and I want to wear my gold shirt, or since I'm down here, I want to at least be in the color scheme of Alabama State. So, it gives me a chance to be able to wear my gear there. So I'm flexing a little bit. Some of the stuff that I put in the closet that I represent every once in a while, I pulled out a little bit, especially for this trip. We'll see tomorrow what people think of the wardrobe I put out there. With that being said, let's get back a little bit into the business here. Let's talk about it. We kind of teased it out at the end. Let's talk about that matchup, this playoff matchup. It sounds like Bryan doesn't believe that third term is going to be a favor. 10-2, the two losses for Benedict Tigers, oddly enough, have been to Albany State Golden Rams. The only battle, the only hill they can't get over. The championship game, to their credit, was much better than the last thing. Benedict Tigers, though, with everybody else, defensively, special team finds the ways to win. They're sitting at that 9-10-2, if you would, 7-1 in terms of what that looks like. Albany State Golden Rams 11-1. Magic City, their only loss is at the FCS level. Talking about that, Tallahassee, where they had a lead at halftime, that really concerned a lot of people in those parts. Favorite son, it's my understanding that he will be on O&G to talk a little bit about what he's getting done at the Golden Rams. Relax, Rattler fans out there. This is not an interview in terms of the job. This is an interview in terms of celebrate what Coach is getting done. Coach Gray is getting done at Albany State, recognizing a legendary Rattler, rightfully so. Good job, O&G, to recognize Rattler, talk about the playoffs, educate folks outside of just now the SWAC and the Rattler FAMU, that you take them out of that comfort zone and show them a little bit about Division II SIAC, their previous home, many conferences years ago, but they take on these Benedict Tigers. And shout out to A.D. Drew, because he knows that history and shares with everybody from multiple frameworks. But with that being said, let me go to A.D. Drew first. Well, I'm going to let him give some frameworks, obviously, because of where his bread is buttered. We won't ask him about picking it. In fact, he faded off. I can understand that. That way he can stay safe and sound. Let me go to you first, Charles, and let you talk a little bit about this matchup. Do you see anything differently the way Benedict Tigers are playing late in the season, being able to get the second contest a little closer, maybe having some of that magic? Can they find a way to get a little magic in the playoffs, finally get over the hill that's been the Golden Rams?
I think you touched on all points that I was looking at. I think, number one, they made up the stagger from the 31-3 loss. And the big thing was Albany State ran for almost 200 yards, I think 199 in that first big victory over Benedict. But in that second win, Benedict had held their rushing game, held Tion White in check, only 75 yards in the game. But even more importantly, Albany State only rushed for 107 yards in that game. They jumped out on them early, and Benedict was playing catch up. And for whatever reason, we've seen Benedict's offense just, go hit snooze from time to time. Can they figure out a way, to generate enough offense? We know defensively they're going to be where they need to be. I don't know. Maybe the defense needs to get a score, get a turnover of some sort. But I think third time is a charm for Benedict.
Good stuff. A.D. Drew, any thoughts, anything that you can talk about that we need to consider watching this matchup for the third time?
Nope, he lost him.
Maybe not. Yep. Bryan, go ahead.
Okay, so in meeting number one, which was played, game number one was played at Albany State, right?
Yes.
31-3, 4 touchdowns. Game number two
was played
at Albany State, but that was a one possession, one score game.
Yeah.
Meeting number three. Back at Albany State. I tell you, the familiarity.
Yeah. You Benedict Tigers, they're gonna be like,
the familiarity with the opponent. I'm not gonna do the cliche. Third time's the charm. It's hard to beat somebody 3 times. I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I'm just gonna be very, very, very nervous if I was a Golden Rams fan. That's all I'm gonna say. And
that's true.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna let other people say it. But I'd be very, very, very nervous trying to beat this team for a third time. Damn, I just said it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please say it up then. Please say it up.
Yeah, it is what it is. Hey, go to the next matchup. We're going to go and tease out. This does have a mid-major program in it, so we get a chance to fairly talk about this on the mid-major side. The other one is a team that was ranked number 1 for part of the season. They fall to number 3, but were literally tied for the Eastern Division. They beat the team that is representing the Western Division, Prairie View, on the road. So that's Tuskegee Golden Tigers that struggled this season, 4-6, 3-5. At one time, they had the number of Alabama States, but over recently, the Hornets have dominated this series, not only in terms of victory, but the scores they've had in this matchup have not really been close. So Alabama State Hornets at 9-2, 7-1. Sticking with you, Brian, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup with the Tuskegee Golden Tigers and Alabama State Hornets for Turkey Day?
Alabama State having the opportunity to have a 10-win season for the first time, I think I read, since maybe 2013.
2013? Yeah, 2013, yeah.
Yeah, and
wow,
no playoffs, no SWAC championship game. I'm curious to see how that sits with key stakeholders at Alabama State. You know, I'm not going to put myself as an observer or media person in it, but I'm curious to see what the stakeholders of Alabama State really, really feel about that. And again, I don't want to take any away and tell anybody that, hey, this game doesn't need to be played, because this is a classic. This is one of our events. So I'm not going to be that guy. But I am curious to see, because I think it brings a bigger question about our stake in equity. And you kind of briefly talked about creating another bowl opportunity, Doc. Well, I'm going to go even one step further. At what point will HBCUs be able to leverage some conversation with the NCAA, FCS decision makers and say, hey, we have a valuable brand that can bring a lot of exposure to more exposure to the FCS playoffs if there's a way for our teams to be involved. Meaning, and so what I'm saying, big picture, the Division I playoffs don't start until mid-December. Why are the FCS playoffs starting in late November? That's all. Just a conversation starter. But I hope Alabama State can get that 10th win. I think it'd be good for them, good for the program. And then, like I said, I'm just interested to see how stakeholders at Hornet Nation feel.
I think you put two things on the table. And I know you said NCAA. The challenge I tell everybody to think about when you say the NCAA, remember it's made up of institutions. So the NCAA is not necessarily going to make the decision. It's the institutions that will put it on there, and then those stakeholders will provide whatever report and vote on it. And if they accept it, the NCAA will just enact it and live on it. But the second part of that I thought is interesting that you talked about is why they start the playoffs when they start. And at one time, they actually started the playoffs after the season, and you did get participation from SWAC members. And as it grew in terms of expansion, it moved it back and forced the season to be started earlier. Now you see the opportunity for the FCS after this recent vote. And this was something that was talked about 5-10 years ago to start in week 0. They couldn't get the momentum then, but now they have the momentum in that vote. You have 12 games. They also made the change where they used to have the playoffs ending, well before the bowl season, where they wanted a more bowl-like atmosphere. So they pushed the championship, and there's multiple weeks waiting before the championship game is played. So there is theoretically opportunity to push things back, particularly when you think about that bowl season now is totally different what it was then. You have the playoffs in terms of when they start, so there's an opportunity to maybe look at that differently. It'd be fascinating if somebody will actually bring that up, because I wonder how many of them have even really thought about it, because oftentimes folks are just used to doing what they've always done. So great points, Brian, about putting that on the table to see what that looks like in terms of moving forward. But Charles, with that saying, where are you in terms of this game?
No, I think Alabama State definitely will get to their 10th win. It's been a phenomenal season, and hopefully you get an opportunity, if everybody is healthy, to see him go out on his shield. I think he's been one of the more dynamic players in recent SWAC history, and to get an opportunity to see him play this upcoming weekend Turkey Day Classic, I think that's going to be tremendous, not only for him but the Alabama State program for some tailwind going into next season and try to break through that ceiling, if you will.
Yeah, good points there. Again, you talked about, and I asked about, is it time to open it up for more bowls being played? I'm not sure how many of you might have caught an interview that Curtis Simon had out there talking about his goal at some point is to do a HBCU playoffs. Imagine that could be challenging with NCAA guidelines, as Brian brought up, talking with the NCAA in terms of cross-divisional matchups. But with HBCU goal in much as television, will they take the first step and maybe add another bowl game where you feature a matchup between SWAC and MEAC, or SWAC and independent programs in terms of their contractual agreement with the SWAC? Is that an option to start with a second bowl game? It would be interesting to see what that looks like. Let me see if we can get Drew in here to talk about this matchup in terms of the Golden Tigers and Alabama State Hornets. The Golden Tigers, can they find any way to get an upset in this matchup from your perspective, Drew?
Only if Alabama State eats the turkey early and gets food poisoning will Tuskegee win this particular matchup. Charles, I hate to disappoint you, but this will be a battle of backup quarterbacks. And as I've been told, Andrew Biden will not play in this particular game on Thursday since it means nothing.
Sure.
So that's number 2. On the comment with Brian and about the proposal with Curtis Simon, I will start off with Curtis Simon. Would HBCU be willing to go up against ESPN, because something like that, could that potentially cost the conferences money with their ESPN contract? That would be something that I would have to be looked at with the proposal that Curtis Simon is doing, proposing, because all of these conferences have ESPN contracts. When ESPN holds their feet to the fire, it's like, no, you cannot go play in this HBCU college playoff. Just wanted to throw that out there. And for Brian, why would all of FCS switch their playoff system just to accommodate the SWAC? Just got to ask.
Well, I think the answer to that would be, I don't think they would. Yeah, I don't think it would be just them accommodating SWAC. I think it would be a question about them looking at the schedule. Again, there are multiple weeks between the championship game, and so it would be about pushing the playoffs back. I guess the question would be is, why does the playoff have to start Thanksgiving weekend?
Just to kind of put on, if you look at that gap, if you look at that gap that they have is that natural gap when kids are out of school, so they're able to send those kids home
Well,
and save money.
it wasn't about the natural gap, though. That's not necessarily the reason why they did it. The reason why they made the change is because, remember, they used to have the championship game the week after the semifinals. It was natural. It was played 5 straight weeks or 4 straight weeks. The reason they changed and created the gap is because they wanted more exposure. They wanted a more bowl-like game. So they naturally decided to have the gap. So there's no reason. So the only reason you started the playoffs is because you needed to have it finished before the bowl season. That's not the case now. So they can start anytime they want because they have the weekends to succinctly get all the games in. It's just a choice of whether they want to continue to start the playoffs Thanksgiving weekend. Remember, there was a time where they actually started the playoffs after Thanksgiving weekend. They changed it when they expanded the playoffs to get more teams, and they wanted to get it all in. The only reason they could get it all in because they wanted it to end, which means they had to start Thanksgiving weekend. So starting Thanksgiving weekend is not a must anymore. So it's not about them changing to do it necessary for somebody else. It would be a benefit now to the SWAC if they did it, but actually changing it would back it up, and now you don't have to worry about the challenge of attendance with Thanksgiving weekend. You get it off of that weekend, and it would be because you now can play it later. So I think you got to be careful about making it about them changing it for the SWAC. It actually would be about them changing it to succinctly be able to play the games in there. With that being said, let's move to this next one, the Bayou Classic. That's number 6, Grambling State Tigers 7-4, 4-3. We're at Southern Jaguars 1-10, 0-7. Can Jaguars find a way to do what often happens in this game is where the underdog puts everything on the line, somehow gets it together and gets the upset? Or will Grambling State Tigers get to 8 wins? Another case where you could say they deserve an opportunity for postseason play themselves with a season at 8-4. As we kind of sneak that in there well, talking about North Carolina Central with 8 wins in terms of a program. Delaware State with their 8 wins on the season. Teams that you could select for a bowl season when we, again, we'll talk a little bit more about that Thursday. But, Charles, your thoughts? Jaguars get off the mat or the Tigers get it done?
You know, I think you touched on it. How often have we seen the underdog come up with a huge win?
Find a way to make it okay for some.
You know, I 1-10 season. Not that they can salvage it, but you get this Bayou Classic victory.
They would get some people to at least talk some doors. They find a way. Might not stop the season, but it sure would make it sweeter.
It sure would make it a little better. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. I'm gonna pick the upset.
All right, Brian.
Hey, Will, if Grambling were to lose this game, how many people would be showing up to Mickey Joseph's house in U-Haul trucks with packing supplies? I mean, come on now. You got a chance to make your rival winless and you lose? Lord have mercy.
Oh, that's funny. That's the way to end it.
I'm saying.
It would take Brian after having his salty recap last week.
I got Grambling by a touchdown.
I love it. Well, let's end it right here. Great show. Appreciate y'all sticking it around and getting it done, celebrating with me. We will look to have a show on Thursday to get your Turkey Day. Look for us again, SWAC TV, looking at doing a Thursday show, 10 o'clock. We'll give you more information on that, so make sure you look at SWAC TV. Also, in terms of no independent show tomorrow, those folks don't know how to work hard. They take days off like it's nothing. We're going to have to re-talk about their contract and what it means to be inside the HBCU sports.
They got coaching situations that they can spend the whole 3 hours talking about coaching situations.
Exactly. They go and work. I see they are working. They're working on coaching situations. Good stuff, Brian. Way to try to bail them out. I like you taking one for the team. And then obviously O&G Strike Zone. They have a lot of information that they'll get out tomorrow celebrating the break as well. Stick with them. Again, we'll be back on Thursday. I'll give you some updates after I get my first live Turkey Day Classic. So I'm excited about that for sure. Deuce, you want to come give everybody a little hello before we close out the show? He might have been taking a nap back there at first. He was checking it out. With that being said, I think Deuce is tired after being on the road. I don't worry about it. We'll make sure you go get something good to eat. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports. Come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. I want to give a special thank you to Dr. Jason Cavil. See if we can get out to lunch. See if I can give him some ideas that he can take back to the SWAC with some of these framework to see during their winter meetings. We'll see what that looks like. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Sunday at 9 a.m., we'll give you an update and let you know what took place in the playoffs, give you some of these final regular season matchup games, and then we'll quickly pivot, update on the poll rankings, and get into the SWAC championship game. A bid is on the line. Somebody is going to the Cricket Celebration Bowl to face the South Carolina State Bulldogs that have clinched their ticket and made it back-to-back appearances in the game. They've been there 3 of the last 5 years themselves. So a lot of folks are regulars about getting this done. We'll see what that looks like. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattaCavil, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Johnny G's, we coming. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. One on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Brian?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
I think I'm gonna get some Thanksgiving turkey out there with Coach Jackson. They working on Thanksgiving.
No days off.
No days off. Yeah.